So it's like if I want to be a doctor, so you attach me to a resident doctor somewhere, so that as the person is working, I'm observing, I'm learning under the person. So that's how it works. If I want to be a scientist, or if I want to be a business analyst or cloud engineer, take me through the cloud engineering training, and then assign me to a cloud engineer so that I could work on live project with the person and close whatever gaps that I have, and then improve my confidence to get a job and also perform on the job. So in terms of, we've actually been able to train and release over 600 plus people, and then about 100 of them came from other training centers. What this means is they've actually been trained before somewhere else, but the gap was still there, and we had to find a way to fill that gap. And one of the ways we do it is we sit down and do a tailor-made career plan. So it's like if you want to be an auto mechanic, it's not just about training you to become an auto mechanic. It's like how do you, after the training, how do you set up your auto mechanic store? How do you grow your auto mechanic business from, at least for the first 2 years of establishing yourself as an auto mechanic? So that career detailed roadmap plan, it's something that we do. And then, like I did mention, there is partnering with seasoned professionals, top international companies, helping with an on-the-job support program, and also with certified bodies as well. And in all of these, the students tend to gain experience, mentorship, and support. So this is one reason why we also decided to say, all right, how do we close this gap? One of them is to hold a demo where we would call a project manager. He would tell us what he does. He will tell us what he uses. He will then show us one thing that he has created from his project, or how he's going to go about creating it. But before then, let me just give a general overview of what project management is about. So, as a project manager, one of the first thing is you need to know that your work is to daily manage the project. So it's like, are you not saying a doctor is to doctor somebody? No, it's like as long as there's a project, there's a need for one person to there's a need for one person to be in charge of that particular project and control the way that project will be delivered. So if there's a plan, he ensures that that plan is followed. And then he ensures that everything is done within the scope, within the time allotted, and the quality is not compromised. I know this is theory, but the thing is to know that for me to do this role I have put here, I have to manage things like risk. I had to look at all the actions. Had to look at issues. I had to manage communication. I had to manage my cost. So in cost here, you're looking at budget. In time, you're looking at your schedule. You have to control the quality of the work that will be delivered. So let me give a very simple example. An end user doesn't care about the project. They care about the outcome of the project. One of the problems we have in Nigeria, especially within the construction world, is that you just hear that, oh, they are constructing Lagos Ibadan Expressway. Nobody is actually thinking about the impact of that stuff on the stakeholders, or communicating to the stakeholders 1 month or 2 months ahead of time and planning an alternate route, so that the stakeholders who we are doing the road for don't start suffering. Because we do this African thing of, oh, we're doing road for you and you people are complaining. No, why won't we complain? You did not factor us in the plan of your project to see how an alternate route will be created for us, so that those who use the road will not die before the road is commissioned. So that is the work of a project manager, to think possible risk issues that could happen, and ensuring that the quality of the work at the end of the day is not compromised. So to do this, we work with people. So in the pre-sales phase, which is before the project comes in, we support to ensure that the project is brought in. And the business analyst is helping us to gather the scope and requirement for that project. Now, there is a project team. This team come together to deliver the work. So let's take a very simple wedding plan. So it's like on that wedding day, but before the wedding day, a whole lot of things have been put together. The DJ, the caterer, the master of the ceremony, the hall needs to be decorated. We need to get the hall, the food, the drinks, the refrigeration of those food, how we're going to transport people from church to reception, how we're going to transport the bride and the groom from the reception to where they are going to, a whole lot of things. So these people would work together to deliver the work required for a successful wedding, before the wedding, during the wedding, and after the wedding. Now, he needs to manage the sponsor who would fund the project, ensure that everybody I'm putting down for the project, I get value for the money. And sometimes, if we don't have the specialists within our team, we definitely would need to work with external consultants. So these are the group of people that a project manager would work with. This is what they manage. This is what they do. Now, this brings us to what do they use? Now, I know that we haven't done these things before, but I just want to put a picture to say this is who a project manager is, this is what they manage, this is who they work with, and this is what they use. So sometimes they use a dashboard to monitor and track this project. Now they use a RAID log to keep track of the risk, issues, actions, and dependencies that actually would impact the project positively or negatively, and ensure that every risk is mitigated and every issue is resolved. Now, if things are changing in the project, a project manager uses a change log. Now, to ensure that the quality of work is distributed amongst everybody in the team, we use a quality register. Now, because money will be given to us, and we want to ensure that we keep track of the spends, we need a budget. Now, I know I'm not saying you know what this thing look like, but first of all, you need to know what they use. Now, our plans is put in a Gantt. A Gantt is just something as simple as activity, start date, finish date, who is going to do it, how long is it going to take, and what are the dependencies. So it's like this one, and then you could mark in progress or started or something like that. Now, sometimes we need to think strategy. Strategy is like, how am I going to communicate? How am I going to manage risk? How am I going to? So strategies are more of the how, the how, the how. Now they use tools like MS Project, Planner, Jira, Confluence, Microsoft Office, Slack, Trello, and the likes. All of these things are just for centralizing planning and communication. So how does a project manager do his work? He breaks his work into 3 different stages. The first stage is we need to start the project. Starting means you need to initiate it and we need to plan it. Now, after the project has been initiated and planned, what do? The team will deliver it while we, the project managers, will monitor and coordinate. So the team needs to know when they need to come in, how they need to come in. So a project manager would ensure that we follow the plan. And if things are not going according to plan, we try to put some controls in place. And once the project is delivered, we have to close that project. So somebody says, a project manager, what do they use? They use tools, they use documents, they use dashboards. How do they do it? They start the project, which includes initiating and planning. They deliver that project by ensuring that they monitor and coordinate all the work. And then once everything is done, they close the project. So in doing this, you need some skills, which like you need to be good in communication, You need strong management skill. You need to be able to become a leader. You need critical thinking. You need to be able to organize yourself. Now, this one page just summarizes everything of the person called a project manager. And the truth is that everybody has played a PM role one time or two times or three times in their life. Now, the project is not your studying. You decide that you want to study, right? There are things that you need to put in place. There are requirements you need to gather. You need to initiate that project by gathering all the necessary requirements. You need to create a plan. The plan is like, I will do this next, I will do this next. Then I would apply to the school to get a CAS. Once I get a CAS, I need to take it to the embassy. The thing is this, once a project comes in, look at it. What am I going to do? What am I managing in this project? Who am I going to work with? So I need to work with an educational agency. They will do this. I need to work with my parents. They will fund it. Now the visa person will do this. You need to think about people. Now you need to begin to think, what am I going to use to track this project? And then you need to think of how will this sequence of events flow? First of all, before I go to hand over the stuff to the person who is going to do the demo today, I want to ask if anyone has any generic question from what I have shared so that I can answer before I introduce who would practically take us through the project management role.
Yeah, there are a couple of persons. I think
Okay, please help me read some of them.
I don't know if there's any question at this junction. So any questions, please? From anybody whatsoever. No question is silly, because we are assuming that literally everyone here, maybe you've come across project management before, you've not practiced, but at least it's new and you want to gain more knowledge to it. So if there's any question, please. If there's none, think we can go to the next stage, and if you don't mind.
Yeah, I don't. Today's session is not about me. It's about who would be taking us through that TM stuff. So Chidi is a technical project manager covering projects within Europe, Middle East, and Africa. And one thing is that he has an MBA in business administration, management, and operations from university here in the UK. And he has worked with a couple of organizations, Seamless, Cisco, Fortinet, CastleNet, Resourcery, a couple of banks, and then some couple of other IT organizations worldwide. And he he in terms of the two most recognized certifications globally, he does have them. Then he's worked on different types of projects, ranging from DevOps, data center, cloud, software, mobile, and network security, ERP. I don't know how to keep track of some of these things. But then, just to tell you that, okay, I think somebody with these profiles should be able to give us an idea of what project management should be, having worked on a couple of projects over the past years. So, Chidi, we need you to, I'm going to stop sharing very soon, but what we need you to do is, I know you as a project manager day to day. So, if you could describe for us your typical 9 to 5, and then after that, if you could maybe choose any part of project management and help us to do a deep dive. It could be that you want to tell us that, okay, if we're given a project today, how do you even start? Or maybe you want to tell us how do you go about planning it, or you want to tell us how do you manage a risk. But we don't just want you to tell us. We want you to show us. For those who intend to be project manager, it's no longer theory in their head. So I will stop sharing my screen now, and then I would just hand over to
Okay.
you. Yeah.
So thanks, Darlington. So welcome everybody again. Like Darlington has mentioned, I'm one of the coaches in Mentor Partner. I've been a coach for a while, and there was a reason why I went into coaching. So when I decided to transition years ago, most of us at some junction in our career realized that what we're doing was not, we're not getting the satisfaction. So we started to transition, and in the process of doing that, there were some educational providers we came across, and in that process, some of us engaged them, enrolled, but we didn't just get the value of our money. We had to like learn ourselves, get things done by ourselves, and even after we did that, we realized that the same problem were being faced by a lot of people. And because of that, we decided to like try to close that gap and try to engage a lot of persons. Even at this point, some persons are even unlearning what it is that they know. So so I think, like he said, so many persons have come through us. And what we realized, such one of the major problem we realized was a lot of persons go to some educational providers, and when they are done with the training and whatever it is that they pass across to them, the confidence is not there. The confidence, which is majorly, do I know if I'm done with the training for as a project manager or business analyst or whatever it is, do I know how to, let's take project management for example, do I know how to initiate a project? How do I go about initiating a project? What is the step-by-step process? Who do I communicate with while, when I want to initiate a project? What documentations will I use? What should go into that documentation? That is like the major problem a lot of persons are going through. So we've coached people that even have PMP, Prince 2, name it, even persons that even have certifications that if we look at their CV, they should be the one mentoring us. But the problem is, it's not just about certification. The world out there in the Western world, it's not about what it is that you have or certification or whatever it is or CV. It's what you can do. And that what you can do is where we are actually trying to close the gap for persons. We want to pass across the necessary things, once you have gotten it, you know how to carry out all the necessary duties as a project manager or whatever profession it is. So now for me on a daily basis, I have so many projects I'm managing, right? And it cut across so many customers. For a project that I have planned already, so what I just do, I'm monitoring and controlling what the project team is executing. And for today, I did like a very simple step-by-step process of how to initiate a project. For persons that enroll to learn in Mentor Partners, this is how we literally, coach them. Because at the end of the day, the end goal for persons that are going through Mentor Partners is by the end of the coaching and everything you are doing, that confidence you need to attend an interview, the confidence you need to carry out all your necessary duties as a project manager, you have it. You even have the step-by-step guide. All we do is for each and every trainings you take based on the program, we give you a step-by-step guide on how to go about it. So even if you're done with the trainings and Mentor Partners, you have like a step-by-step guide on how to initiate, how to plan, how to monitor and control. When there's changes in your project, what do you do? Who do you even meet? What kind of conversations do you have with your team? Then how do you close? So for today, I'm going to briefly go through the step-by-step of how to initiate a project, right? This is just more like high level to let us see how things are done. So to give us an overview of what it is. So I want to make things as practical as possible. I'm not here to present slides. A lot of persons that have joined this call maybe have gone through a lot of what's it called, educational providers, and people use slides to do a lot of things. No, we try and make it as hands-on as possible. this is how I initiate my project. Now, let's take, for example, you have been assigned a project and you want to initiate the project. What do you do? If, for example, Darlington is my line manager and Darlington sends me an email or give me a phone call and tell me that, oh, there's a project like this that's coming, or you're going to be managing a what's it called, an upgrade, a software upgrade project, for example, for a bank. How will I go about initiating my project from the point where I have been notified that I have a project? How do I initiate it? Now, let's take this step by step. Now, when you are assigned a project, or when I am assigned a project, it's either the notification that comes to me either by an email. Let's take this as a formal environment now within the PMO department. The head of PMO will definitely send you an email looking at all the project managers table. What do he or she have, or how many projects that he or she manage? Can he or she take one or two things? You have been given, sent an email, then normal courtesy, you acknowledge the email that's been sent to you. After you have acknowledged the email, there are persons, I don't want to go into much details, but there are people that have gone out there to sell this business. The sales teams, business development have gone to the bank, told them what we can do. They've gotten the contract and all. So you need to meet those persons to get all other documentations like proposals and all that, which will give you a bit of context as to what it is you have to deliver for the customer. Now, when you have met them and you have been, you've been sent the documentation, which is majorly from the sales team. Now you need to gather lessons learned. And lessons learned is basically, for this project now I want to manage, have I done this before? Looking at my experience, is this something I've done before? If I've done it before, can I check my documentation to see what happened in my last previous project and what I could learn? So I could take that learnings into my new project. If you have not done something like this, well, you could also meet people that are like, oh, you're a senior project manager or friends, or even do a research to gather more knowledge about the project. Now you create it's like you're creating your project repository, which is like a folder where you are going to be archiving literally everything you're doing on the project, all your documentations, and literally everything you will archive at the end of the project. Now you create what you call your lessons learned register, and you send him an email internally letting your PMO, letting him or she know that you're ready to initiate the project, right? Now, when you now want to initiate the project, this is another stage. You now want to initiate a project after you've been given the go ahead to initiate. Now, by this point, there's what you call the scope of work, right? Majorly, the BA that actually handles the scope of work document. Scope of work document will tell you exactly in details what it is that you are to deliver. For example, if it's a software you need to deliver, the scope of work will give a more granular breakdown as to what that application and the features is going to have, right? Now you're going to request your project team. Don't forget, you won't be the person that will manage the project or will deliver. You will have so many other persons that you will have to manage to deliver the project. So you have to request for the list of persons or the number of persons that will help in your project. Now you are going to request a customer introduction. Don't forget, at this point, you don't even know who the customer is. You might have the name of the customer or have maybe who the customer is in high level, but you need to know somebody from that party. You need to have like a point of contact. And for the fact the sales team has gone to sell services to them and they've gotten a PO or contract, the sales department will be the best person to point you to the right person that you have to meet, so you know who to interact with from that end, right? Now you create what you call the stakeholder register. At this point, you need to start documenting the names of persons within the project that will work with you, both internally and externally, right? Now, when you create this register, you now book an internal kickoff meeting, because don't forget, at this point, when you're booking this, you already have your team members, because internal kickoff meeting now is to have a meeting with your team to discuss the project that was given to you to manage. Now, in that meeting, you're going to be discussing the project scope and the deliverables. And by the end of the meeting, you should be putting together your minutes of the meeting, which you will send. You putting together your project brief and also your stage plan. You also need to do your stakeholder register. So now let me show us what a typical stakeholder register looks like. This is like my dashboard for a project I did for what's it called, CBN a while ago. And if you can see, this is my name here. As when I did this project, I had the lead project manager, and I was the assistant project manager for this project, right? So you can see internally my team members, these are everybody within my team that will be delivering my project. I had a list of engineers. So this is what you call the stakeholder register. Now, from the CBN team, I had a list of persons from the CBN team. Now, stakeholder register will entail the names of the person, the role they will play, the responsibility, their official email, and their mobile number. Now, one of the importance of this, let me just mention this before I move to a chapter. The importance of this is, for example, I like using this example most of the time. If you go on leave, for example, I want to go on leave now, and somebody needs to take over for me for the next 2 weeks, and the person wants to know who are the persons that are involved in my project, who is even the lead engineer for this project. From the customer side, who are the persons from the customer side? He or she can look at this document and know who are the persons, he or she will have to interact with, right? And take up conversations from them. Now, lastly, let me just show us a typical project brief, right? So this is the typical project chart I used to put together my project charter. Basically, what the project brief for charter is more or less to give you a brief description of the project, right? So this first category tells you what the project is about, the project manager, project sponsor, and give you things like the process impacted and what's it called, when the project started and all that. Now, for a project to be approved, there must be a need. And you need to document what that need is, because without that need, the business wouldn't want to approve funds to go about utilizing funds to for that project to actually kickstart. So the brief actually documents what the issue is, why in short, it answers the question of why is it that this project is actually needed, why do we want to go about embarking on this project. And it also documents things like the benefit, what do we stand to gain by the end of the project. So this is the typical brief. It tells you the scope, it tells you things out of scope, this is more of high level. It tells you the project team involved, support resources, even the process owners. And you also, by this time, when you're initiating a project and trying to put together these documentations, you will also have some risk already that you already have in mind, because you are already conceiving the project in your mind and in your heart, to know exactly what to go wrong, especially based on lessons learned from other projects you have managed. So this document basically, if anyone, for example, the importance of this document is, for example, if somebody that joins the project wants to know exactly what this project is about, you don't need to have a meeting with the person. What you need to do is just share the document with the person, and the person can read it, a 1-pager or 2-pager, and the person can really actually understand to an extent what the project is about. So the two output, or the two things you have to the two outcomes of your initiation stage by the time you're done initiating your project, the two major documentations you need to put together is your project brief, which normally when you do, your project lead or the head of PMO will need to approve, so you can actually go ahead to plan, and your stakeholder register. Now, why I'm saying this is because we realize a lot of persons don't even know how to do these things. If we ask persons, what are the outcomes, what are the outputs of initiation stage, how do you initiate your project, right? What's it called? They don't really know how to go about it. So it's like one of the things we do in mentor partners. And I think for the past few years we've done it. We've gotten a good feedback as to the hands-on, step-by-step process of how we do this thing. So Darlington, at this junction, I think I will let persons that have questions to ask whatever questions they have, and I think I've what's it called? I've given a bit of explanation as to what it is that we do in mentor partners and how we go about it. Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
I think someone asked a question, how do we allocate resources as a first-time project manager in a corporate world? So first of all, you can't allocate resources without doing maybe first three things. You need to understand what is this project about, right? Once I know that this is a construction project, or it's a data center project, or it's a wedding project, or it's a whatever it is, we need to know what the scope of the project is and why that project is instituted in the first place. Then secondly, you need to learn from previous project, or learn from a colleague, or learn from the internet, or learn from your own experience, the kind of people that should, because first is to think what and why. The next thing is to think, has it been done before? If yes, what can I scratch out from there? Before you then go to the third thing, which is the who. So the question you're asking now is on the third side, which is the who. Who and who and who can I use to deliver this project? So if I know what it is, it's a construction of a 4-bedroom duplex in Lekki. So I know that it's a constructions project, it's a 4-bedroom duplex, but what is this 4-bedroom duplex going to contain? It's going to contain, I mean, it's going to use a different types of paint. Now there is somebody to, I mean, it's a bulletproof gate. It's this, it's that. So based on those things that are contained in the scope, I would have because everything in the scope needs to be done by somebody. So if it's a bulletproof gate, then it means I would need to contact consultants or companies who provide this type of service to be part of the team. So if it's going to require constructions, foundation, so from experience, I know that foundation, I would need some mason men or bricklayers, I would need a structural engineer, I would need an architect who will first of all. So based on the scope of the work that is required, I would have an idea of the resources that I would need. Then I would then make request of these resources to the sponsor who would approve it. And then I would work with HR team to recruit if need be, or work with some external agency to make sure that these resources are available. Or if these resources are available inside, I will request the head of department of those units to provide me resources. So once I have all of these resources, then I put them in the document that Chidi shared, which is a stakeholder register, which will say, this is the person's name, the contact details, this is their role, this is their responsibility, this is how I'm going to reach them. And if possible, this is the stage in the project that they would be needed. So that's the step. You don't just go to the third step, which is to allocate resources. Before you allocate resources, you need to know who are these resources. Before you know who are the resources, you need to know what are they going to do, so that you're not going to bring a carpenter who is going to do the roofing. You're not going to bring him very early in the project and start paying him when we know that it's going to take 3 months for us to do the decking, put the first floor, let it be straight before we even get to the roofing, something like that. So I hope I was able to answer that question. So somebody could ask, how do I transition? Okay, now you've told us what project management is. You've brought in a project manager to tell us how to start a project. And then the 2 documents he creates after he has started that project. So the project brief gives us an idea of all that this project should do in one single document, and the stakeholder register holds all the key persons that would be involved in the project, whether internal or external. So how do we then transition? Very simple. So today we've had a webinar, right? We've had a webinar which gives us general knowledge of what project management is about. I think the aim of today's webinar is if somebody asks you, what is project management? Who are these people? What do they use? What do they do? Who do they work with? We should be able to answer. And it's like from today also, how do you start a project? I know you haven't really started any project before, but you should have an idea. Oh, the first thing is I'm going to meet with whoever assigned me on that project. Let him explain to me what it is the project is about. I'm going to collect all the documents that was used to get that project. Then I am going to start learning, gathering my own learning, document this learning, and then I would start just like that, move from one place to the other. So if I get all of those things, I can start creating the project brief, put all the things inside one document, which is a project brief. Now, I would convert that brief into a PowerPoint and call my team members together, because I would have requested from my team, I'll call the team members together and I will use that brief to explain to them, this is the project we've been given. This is what we need to do. This is why we were given. This is who we are going to work with. This is what we're going to create at the end of the day. These are the risks we will face. So all of those things are inside one document called a project brief. Some people call it a charter. They are all the same. So we've gotten the basic knowledge. So the next thing is for us to kind of, okay, I think this thing is for me. I would love to be a project manager. I think this is something that I do not struggle to do. So I think it's fine. You just give us a call, or you just kind of reach out to us. We would go through that initial discussion just to kind of get you to understand how you would go. Now, if everything is pointing towards there, we then go to have an analysis. So analysis is where we'll help you discuss, then create a roadmap. Then you will then go to the where we'll build the capacity with trainings and mentorship. At the end of the day, you must solve a problem. So we have a very large alumni community where most times they drop real life case problem on organizations they are working with. And some of these problems will bring it back to the student and say, you say you have finished your project management training, then solve this problem. Or you finish your data analysis training, solve this problem. So if you're able to solve that problem, it means you're ready to go to the market. If you can't solve that problem, we need to go back to number 4 to fix that gap. So from number 6, once all the necessary preparation is done, then we move to say, like, you get the job and contract. So now for those who are very interested to move from wherever they are to wherever they intend to be, for the sake of today's stuff, we actually doing a 35% cut from whatever the program cost used to be. So for those in the UK, normally the cost used to be 1,300, but for the sake of this, it was cut down to 800. And for those in Nigeria, it used to be 400K, it cuts down to 250,000. And then this payment is actually spread in 3 installments. For the September cohort that is planned to start, most times I do appreciate if people are kind of very, very serious about what it is. It's like, what is the alternative? If I do this, if I don't do this. I used to be in Nigeria, and then I got a sponsored job from Nigeria and moved over to the UK. So I have been in this project management journey. The thing is that, who would you believe? Somebody who can tell you that, okay, because yeah, it does take the grace of God, but then if somebody was able to, by God's grace and God's mercy and serious work and direction, be able to catch the attention of a very big multinational company from outside the country, for them to pull him from Nigeria and bring him to the UK to become a senior program manager, I think that person should be in the best state not to tell you what it is and what is not. He actually would be able to tell you that this should happen and they should not. Some persons will say, why is it um costly, this. It's not really about the cost. It's about what is the alternative if I don't do this. If you don't do this, nothing will happen. But if you do this, something is expected to happen. And Chidi here used to, like, I know the profile I actually did share about Chidi was not there until Chidi himself several years ago had to go through this program. And then today I can't even count the number of projects that he has done. Same with every other person who has gone through this. Now, for those who actually joined this session today, we are going to offer you, without even you having to pay, right? So if you wish to have your CV reviewed, you want an interview workshop, maybe like you've been struggling on interviews, you don't know what to do, you've been getting so many rejections, or you want to step into your career, have a chosen career, but you don't know what it is that you want to do, please feel free. I think the team will drop a contact details, and you could actually just sign up for these free services. I think we just have about few days. So between now and also the 3rd, this one you don't have to pay, right? But you have to kind of give your intention before the 3rd of September. So all I can say is it's best that we take advantage of these now. You scan the QR code or you book an intro call through the link that is given there. So
We have a lot of questions. People are asking questions.
oh,
Duration of the
sorry.
program.
So I actually, permit me, I didn't see. So please, if you could read, you could. So the
Yeah, they're
duration of the
asking.
program. The program actually starts from point 3, right? So the program includes 3, 4, 5, and 6, and it's actually a close to 3 months program. So it's about 11 weeks or 12 weeks. I think we have 4 weeks in the month, right? So it's let's say it's about a 11 to 12 weeks program. Now, this 11 to 12 weeks is where it's just fully dedicated to this number 4, because this gap analysis is done before the start of number 4. So this is where we'll create a 2 to 3 years roadmap for you, which would kick off not just for you to get a job, but how do you transition from the job you've gotten even to other jobs? So the answer is if we would say dedicate about 3 months for this. It's not magic. You can't do it in 1 week or 2 weeks or something like that. So I don't know if there is another question. Please, can you help me?
So someone asked a question that between scheduling to Primavera P6 and Microsoft Project, which one is advisable for a project manager to use?
Good question. So I would ask the person a question between electric car and I don't know who asked the question.
It's Vitalis.
Okay, Vitalis, could you be on mute? I just wish to ask a question.
Hi, Darlington. Good evening.
Hi, good evening. So between diesel and petrol car, which one do you like?
Petrol. Also, okay, sorry. The reason why I asked this question was I had a conversation with a project manager, and I was trying to get insights because I'm into healthcare projects. So I was trying to get insight on which scheduling tool or platform will be useful to undo healthcare projects, most especially mental health care project, because it's kind of small and it's not complex. And the project manager was like, I should like focus more on the Primavera side. And I'm like, I thought Primavera is mostly for people in construction. So I was like, okay, let me just ask to like get opinion between the Primavera and the Microsoft projects. Which should I focus more on?
So that's why I asked you between petrol and and diesel. Like if I ask another person here, some people could say, oh, they prefer diesel car because it doesn't burn as much as petrol. So another person will say, no, I prefer petrol because it's cheaper than diesel. So the point here is just a fit
Right.
in the healthcare project environment. I don't see what Primavera is doing there. This is me telling you, I've worked in healthcare projects, I've worked in constructions, I have worked in IT and non-IT projects, I've worked in e-commerce, digital marketing, I've worked in I've worked in oil and gas, I've worked in energy, power. We did a project for Ikeja Electric in 2015 to 2016, where we did a mass rollout of over 500,000 smart electric meters just across Lagos. Now, we did not use, even as a large scale as that project, we did not use Primavera. As simple as MS Project can actually do that. But if you want to work on projects where you're kind of building something very, very big and substantial, that you have to do a whole lot of cost calculation, then you need the Primavera. And Primavera, it's used by, in fact, they used by planning managers or planning engineers. For us, from a PM point of view, they just give us a section for scheduling, right? But it's not even so easy for you to download Primavera. So it's licensed. I'm not saying MS Project is not licensed, but to some extent, people are even dishing them using as simple as Excel
So I was about to say,
to plan their project. If you have if you go or just go online, search for Smartsheet, right? And try to download a Gantt version of Smartsheet, you will see that it helps you to even do what MS Project will do. So it's all about simplicity here. There's no need driving a Rolls Royce on a track that is just 30. I mean, the speed limit is 30. No, we need those speed cars on 60s and 70s and 80s, right? So let's not all in the name of we want to do. I've used, I can't count the number of tools I've used, but then I will tell you there's no need to use in a healthcare, except we're constructing a trust. We're doing a very, and you know how these NHS trusts are, right? Very big, right? A general hospital that has radiology section, you have this. So you're constructing more like 10 or 12 buildings in a particular complex. Then yes, if you want to use Primavera for that. But if you're doing clinical healthcare applications or migrating clinical data from one to another, what are you using? What are you using Primavera for? So just to add, I have a student. I'm not sure he joined. So I've had students that work in GLR in Jaguar, Land Rover, Toyota, Nissan, and they really use Primavera there. They don't use MS Projects because these are constructions and manufacturing. There's a whole lot of costing, moving parts. There's a whole lot of physical things that have to be done. But in people who work in the banking, the all other, they use MS Project. Now, it's not that you can't use MS Project for that particular place, but you might be a little bit limited. That's the point. So I don't know if we have another question.
yeah, there's another one from Kelechi. Could you please clarify the payment options? What if I don't have funds to make initial commitment before the promo ends? What other options are available?
Okay, the promo is not for you to make payments. The promo is for you to actually make an intention that you are willing to proceed, right? Then the intention there we will then discuss, because you have to, the promo is actually for you to have, like, say, okay, yes, I'm ready to proceed with the program. And then during the intro call, we could actually, everything is flexible, right? There are persons who say, Darlington, if you turn me upside down, break my bone, that's the money is not going to come out now. But definitely I have a payment plan that I think would work, whether it's 4 installments, whether it's, but the key thing is between now and that time, we just, for the sake of planning, we need people to just say, okay, I am willing to proceed. Yeah. If there are no questions, may I have questions for people? And my simple question is, all of you in this call, I don't know, we have about 32 people. So Andy says, for technical project, how do you measure the amount of complexity of the different tasks so that the developers develop at a good pace? It's like, Andy, you want to take us to Harvard, right? Okay. The thing is, during the planning session, right? Remember, as a project manager, you're not the fixer of all, right? It is the team that will tell you what to do. You just put it together. And then for each of the tasks, so in project, we do stage by stage by stage by stage. So in each of the tasks, you need to, the team would identify the complexity. And then as they identify the complexity, it is you as a project manager to capture it as a risk and then put it in your risk register and plan a mitigation for them. So even after we have done that, there are still chances that we would face issues. Once we face those issues, we put them in the issue register and we begin to plan how to fix those issues. In IT or agile-based project, we have somebody like a Scrum Master whose only job is to do a daily stand-up and help the team to close out any complexity or any issues that would arise, just to help them get their work done. So we can't really measure all the complexity by we just looking at them from a PM eyes, but it's the team who is going to, because the team tells us that this particular work will take me 5 days. And the reason is because I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do that. It's the person who is going to do the work. So in summary, if I call a carpenter to come, or if I call a plumber to come and help me fix an issue. Now, for me, that issue might look big, but he comes and says the issue is very small. Also, for me, the issue might be very small, but he comes based on his expertise. You'll be able to identify or measure that issue to say, no, this thing is very big because he's seeing something that you are not seeing. The doctor who is going to treat you based on his test and analysis results will be able to come up to you and say, this your urine that is white. To you, it's okay. But there is something else that he's saying. So he, based on the analysis that the team will do, will be able to measure how complex a task is or not. My last question to us is, to all of us here, I hope if we, after the training and putting in the work, I get post-training support and internship. Yes, so this project focus mentoring side, it's you interning with, so there are 2 sets of internship. So first of all, you get trained. So the training is like 4 to 5 weeks in project management, right? Practical, how to go about project managing. Secondly, after that, you go and start internship. Now, the internship is you working alongside a project manager. So if you're somebody in the UK, you are assigned to a PM in the UK who is already working, so that you and the person could work on that person's project together. If it's in Nigeria, you get assigned to a PM in Nigeria. The aim of this is so that at the end of the day, when you get to number 6, now the PM who you worked with should be able to provide you references, right? Because you actually worked on the project, and if being so nice, you might work with him for 3 months, but he's willing to provide you a reference for even up to 9 months to say, just for you to have a whole lot of time on the CV to say yes, you work. And if there be need for job referencing, definitely he would be the one. So it's not just us. So for example, if Ray, if you train and then if you go through the training and then we assign it to PM in Barclays Bank, now that's PM, the Barclays Bank is aware that you are working with the project manager, right? So after that period of internship with him, you have every confidence to say, okay, I worked with Barclays for 3 months or 6 months, or because definitely in the UK there are 3 months contract, there are 6 months contract, there are 9 months contracts, so that if there need be for referencing, all you need to do is you reach out to us, we reach out to the mentor, and then the person will provide the details so that you could actually provide it to who needs to do the referencing, and then you definitely work with the person and the person will be able to provide it. Okay, so my question is, everybody here, if you sleep tonight and don't wake up, do you know where you're going to? If you don't know, I don't want some of us to have hands-on experience of hell, right? So we all need to get it right in our maker. So if you don't know how to get it right, that one is much more important than being a project manager. Call me ASAP and say, Darlington, I need to fix my soul. We need to fix the soul before we fix the body, right? So that's one I am willing to give you my whole life and give you my whole time. If you want to call me, there's a 911 number. So you reach out to the admin will provide you my number and we will get that one fixed. That one is much more important to me than this anything that because if we don't get it right there, every other thing will fall out of place. So I want to thank us. I don't know if we have any more question. If not, I look forward to having so please, your intention to proceed is very important, because if it passes, things just revert back to the original. And before we close, I will just say it again, that the reason why Mentor Partners is the fact that people, you have to be, it's the hands-on experience. It's not coming here to just go through slides. No, it's the parts that you would have to gain that experience that would help you to close the gap and improve the confidence. I would say this, that I was sold this so-called come, you get life experience and all of those things, and I don't want to mention the name and I don't want to mention the experience. It was just all a lie. And that was actually what gave birth to this whole Mentor Partners thing, to say, how do we, because when good keeps quiet, evil prevails. So how do we come to help people? And it's all down in our footprint. So please, I think the team is dropping the links, and if you have your phones, you could actually also scan the QR code or go to the Mentor Partners website and actually book an intro call. Any which way, we do love that this whole project management thing you've heard doesn't end here. And let's not forget also that if you need a free CV review or you need a career advice, like, okay, Darlington, I want to sign up, but I am confused. I don't know anything. I don't know. Please feel free. We're not charging anybody to do a CV review. We're not charging anybody to kind of come up with an interview guide of how you would need to go about your interview. So thank you. It's supposed to be 1 hour more. I told the team that they should tell me anytime I'm over talking. So Please, if there are no other questions, I would love to just allow us go spend the rest of the evening. So once again, before you go, check the chat space if there are any information that have been dropped there that you need to copy or take note of. And we hope to be part of the whole journey. If there's anything that you need after now, please just feel free to also reach out. Okay, thank you. Nnamdi Chidima, I don't know if there's anything I've missed out. If not, let's close.
All right. Thanks everyone for joining, and do have a wonderful evening.